have an election coming up. And so certainly there's going to be posturing against one another. But this factionalism succeeds only in an environment where, you have, normalcy in terms of governance. A chief executive who understands relationships. I mean, the difference between a secretary of state and a vice president, and then apportions responsibilities accordingly. Donald Trump doesn't operate that. He's a cult of personality. How do you have a faction in a cult of personality? See, the cult of personality precludes factions. The cult of personality doesn't allow factionalism to take place, because the moment you have a faction, you now have a different cult of personality. You have a cult of personality around JD Vance. You have a cult of personality around Marco Rubio. The moment either Marco Rubio or JD Vance or both say, I'm really important and I matter, is the time when Donald Trump pulls the plug on them. Donald Trump will not brook this. He will not tolerate this. This is the house of Trump, that Trump is the only thing that matters. So there'll be whisper campaigns. You'll have people in the media spinning this way and that way. But in order to have a faction, you have to be given some rope to play with. Donald Trump doesn't give anybody any rope. He is the final arbiter. He is the man. He is God. Everything revolves around him. His is the only opinion that matters. So no, I don't buy into this factionalism nonsense. It's just stuff that people invent because they don't know, they don't have the courage to admit what's really going on. You haven't seen anybody in the mainstream media say, time out, it's a cult of personality. Time out, we have a narcissistic madman in office. Time out, it's not normal for the president of the United States to be doing what this man's doing. Everybody's trying to normalize it. And one of the ways to normalize it is to pretend that we have factionalism, where we have the Rubio camp playing off against the JD Vance camp. There's only one camp. It's the Donald Trump camp.
Mm-hmm. There is a fight, serious fight in Israel. Two sides are fighting each other, Naftali Bennett and Netanyahu. He said that Netanyahu said, I'm going to do everything to get elected again. And he said, we entered Iran twice to save ourselves from destruction of nukes. And there will be a third time if necessary. And they're talking about basically what it was shared by Iranian foreign minister today on his X account. In one of the comments of the Israeli defense minister, Israel Katz, it says that we're gonna, if the supreme leader of Iran, he was marked for death, and it seems that they're preparing to assassinate the new supreme leader of Iran. And the reaction on the part of Iranian foreign minister said, the terms of the Islamabad MOU are crystal clear and public for all to see. POTUS has committed the United States to muzzling its pets in Tel Aviv. If they ignore their master, Iran will school them. This is the sort of rhetoric right now. I assume when Israel says they want to assassinate the new supreme leader of Iran, they're serious about it. I don't doubt it, because they did it before. They did it not just once, twice. For many years, they were assassinating Iranian scientists and all of that. We know that. We know the history. That's why it was taken seriously by the Iranian foreign minister. Let's assume they try to do something like that. Well, how do you see the conflict, the escalation out of that sort of act, that sort of move on the part of Israel between Iran and Israel?
How do I see it? It doesn't matter how I see it. I mean,
because because the reason I'm asking you, it's you always have the United States in the background, or Israel tried to start a war that they're not capable of fighting it, but they want the United States to fight it instead.
Right, but the difference this time is that was always hypothetical under the Obama administration. We could beat Iran just if the United States joined in. First Trump administration, come on, Donnie baby, join us. We can beat Iran. It will happen. Joe Biden, come on, Joe, we can do it. Let's go, Joe. And everybody said no because they understood it was stupid. Donald Trump took the bait and we went in. We didn't go in half-assed. We went in with everything. There's a reason why things didn't happen. It's because we lacked capacity. It's because the Iranians had better capacity than we would care to admit. But we went in with everything we had. We used all of our precision strike munitions. We got nothing left. And we lost. We lost. So the idea now that the Israelis are going to sit there and say, we're just going to continue to provoke Iran until the United States joins us again. So let's say we do. So what? I think the thing that has to change here, the Iranians are sort of in the same position now that Vladimir Putin's in. The provocation. But on the one hand, the Iranian leadership is saying, even with all the stupidity that's taking place right now, we have a chance to recharge our economy, to get our economy going, to engage decisively with Russia, China, to create, long-term opportunity. This is things we haven't been able to do for nearly 50 years. It's time. It's time for the Iranian people. And so what they're willing to do is absorb the continued provocation of the United States and Israel on the periphery because strategically they get greater benefit by not decisively engaging Israel. But at some point in time, they're going to be pushed too far, just like Russia. I mean, Russia, I believe, very soon is going to take Europe out because they have no choice. You can't continue to have British-built cruise missiles hit strategic industrial facilities like they just did in Volgograd and walk away scot-free. At some point in time, the factory that produces that must be destroyed, even if it's in Great Britain. And I think it will be destroyed. A lot of Iranians, our good friend, Professor Morandi, had said that, back when the 38, 39-day war started, that Iran will see this through, that it's not going to end until Israel is strategically defeated. Well, sorry, Iran, you allowed it to end. I'm not blaming you. I mean, that you got to do what you got to do. But Israel's still there yapping away. And this only ends when Iran pummels Israel so hard that the Netanyahu regime ceases to exist and is replaced by a regime that's capable of seriously considering genuine conflict resolution. And that only happens when you hurt Israel, fundamentally hurt Israel. And I don't think Iran has to worry about the United States because we can't just say, all Iran has to do is shut down the Strait of Hormuz, get the Houthi to shut down the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. And that's the end of the Middle East oil. That's the end of the United States. The Gulf Arab states will be begging for an end to this conflict. And then they just keep pounding Israel. And you never stop pounding Israel. Never stop pounding Israel. Never stop pounding Israel. Never stop pounding Israel until you achieve what you want to achieve, which is the end of the Netanyahu regime. Iran should say that straight up. I'm tired of hearing the Israelis threatening the supreme leader. I want the Iranians to start threatening Benjamin Netanyahu. You're a dead man, Bibi. You're dead man walking. We're going to kill you. We're going to kill you and anybody who replaces you. The prime ministership of Israel is null and void. Anybody occupying that is automatically marked to death until we get a genuine peace treaty. Until that time, you are considered to be a satanic entity. I'd love to hear the Iranians not only say that, but then act on it. I keep hearing about all these Iranian missiles. Let's see them. Let's see the never-ending supply of missiles pour into Israel. Day after day after day after day, never stopping until Bibi's dead and people who try to replace him are dead. Naftali Bennett, come on, step into prime ministership, die. If Iran doesn't do this, then Israel's just going to keep playing this game. They're just going to keep playing this game. And maybe it's a game the Iranians are willing to accept at this point in time because they view the overall risk gain, the cost benefit analysis saying we're gaining more by not doing this right now. But at some point in time, you either kill the rabid dog or you're going to get bit by the rabid dog. And if you get bit by the rabid dog, you get rabies and you die. All right. So Iran just has to answer these questions. Do they want to die of rabies? Because the longer they let this mad dog in Israel continue to foam at the mouth, the more chance Iran's going to get bit. So, again, but that's why I said, why are you asking me? Because I have a Marine Corps mindset. My mindset is, attack. I do try to comprehend the larger economic geopolitical picture. That's why I'm saying that they might have a calculus out there. But the fact is, even with that calculus, just like right now with NATO and Europe, Vladimir Putin can talk about growing his economy all he wants. He can get $84 billion injections through the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum all he wants. But as long as the West continues to supply Ukraine with long-range strike drones, it's going to be a drag on your economy. It's going to create the instability that's never going to let you achieve what you want to achieve until you kill the dog. And this is where Iran's at. I mean, especially now that we have clarity from the United States. I mean, thank you, JD Vance, for the clarity that you brought by admitting that the MOU is just a game, a negotiating ploy. Buying time for what? The United States is not buying time so that Iran gets stronger and that the Islamic Republic survives. The United States is buying time until we find a way to bring an end to the Islamic regime. That's it. And until the Iranians recognize that, you're playing the game that they're going to win, because their game is delay, delay, delay until they kill you. Understand that means that they'll go on forever if you don't kill them. And eventually they're going to get the lucky shot in and kill you. So shoot the dog. That's what I've been saying. Oh, it's time to shoot the frickin' dog, because the dog is rabid. The dog is running around. There's no saving this dog. There's no, throwing him a bone and coming in, hey, petting the dog on the head and taming the dog. See, Iran right now is, if you believe in the MOU, you're believing that Israel can be tamed. Israel can't be tamed. It's a rabid beast. You're believing the United States can be tamed. We can't. We have a cult of personality that's just insane. So shoot the dog. That's the only solution.
And today we had the head of Iranian Supreme National Security Council. He came out and he said that he's going to punish those people who were participating, who were part of the assassination of the supreme leader of Iran and the Iranian people and other Iranian people. I think the case of Netanyahu is, when it comes to the assassination or something like this, they don't see the whole strategy of Iran, Scott, is not based on assassinating people. And it's not just about Iran. The whole acts of resistance, look at their behavior. They're more strategic than, focusing on the people, assassinating the people. They're basically fighting, look at the targets during the war. They were not attacking civilians and trying to assassinate even Benjamin Netanyahu. It was something beyond that. You have to destroy the tools, the means that they can use against you.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that where'd they get Iran? Look, Iran won the war. They're losing the peace. Okay, let's just make it as clear as day. Iran's not winning right now. Every day this stupid farce goes on, Iran's getting weaker and weaker and weaker because they're losing their leverage. And at some point in time, the United States is going to recharge. You know who can play this game over and over and over and over and over again? The United States. You know who can't play this game over and over again? Iran. Iran won the war. I give them full credit for that. But they're losing the peace right now. And one of the reasons is they need to recognize that in Israel and the United States, we have cult of personalities. It's sort of a pro hint here for the Iranians. We tend to mirror project onto our enemies. So when we say, oh, we kill the supreme leader, the whole system falls apart. That's because we know that if we lose our supreme leader, the narcissist in chief, or Bibi, the mad dog, Netanyahu, the system will fall apart. Here's a hint to Iran. Kill Bibi Netanyahu, and Israel would devolve into civil war. I will never advocate for the assassination of an American president, so don't even try, because the consequences would be dire. But watch what happens when the president suffers political assassination in November. Watch what happens to America. Again, I am not advocating physical violence against the President of the United States. I would never do that. I believe in the constitutional responses, and the constitutional response to an incompetent man such as this is to punish him on election day. And the way you punish Donald Trump is to ensure that the House of Representatives will be under the chairmanship of Hakeem Jeffries, who will impeach. And normally I wouldn't support that, but now I do, absolutely. But we also need the Senate to fall under the control of, Chuck Schumer. And then we get convict. And that's how you punish Donald Trump: political assassination, the destruction of the Trump brand, the destruction of the Trump image. And this is the price that this man has to pay for the crimes he has committed: crimes against humanity, crimes against the American people, crimes against the notion of the constitutional republic. He is single-handedly killing the constitutional republic. We're going to have our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, and this man's going to fuck it up. What should be a solemn celebration of one of the greatest documents ever written is just going to become a celebration of the orange-faced fat buffoon. I mean, no one gives a damn about this man. I want him eradicated from the pages of history. I want him treated like Rome treated Carthage. I want every edifice of Donald Trump to be crumbled into the ground. I want salt to be sown on the field of the Trump family name. I want it to make sure that the Trump name never again grows. This is what damage this man has done to this country. This isn't just political embarrassment. He's destroying the country I swore to give my life in defense of. He's destroying it. Now, we, the people, are letting him do that. And we don't do ourselves any favor by electing the Democrats, because understand, we're just replacing one rabid dog with another rabid dog. The Democrats are not going to come in and say, let's preserve the Constitution. They're going to come in and say, how do we get revenge on this man and those who supported this man? And then we just fall into a bloody cycle of political infighting that could perhaps get worse. Don't want it to. But no, Iran needs to understand, okay, again, from the Iranian perspective, just let Donald Trump be Donald Trump right now, because he'll die in November, die politically. And you've won. At that point in time, you've won. You've defeated, because the system will collapse in amongst itself. Netanyahu, you got to kill him, physically kill him. That's it. He has to die. Maybe he'll die of cancer soon, or otherwise he has to be killed. Because otherwise he's going to sit there. He's a festering, cancerous, parasite who just wants war. That's all he wants. That's all he knows. That's the only thing that can keep him alive. Netanyahu has never once articulated any vision of realistic peace. He doesn't believe in peace. He believes in the expansion of greater Israel, which means conquest, permanent warfare. This isn't about the system. This isn't about the Israeli system. Netanyahu is the Israeli system. He's been around for far too long. He's perverted the entire notion of what the Israeli state once was. There was a time when they had a prime minister named Yitzhak Rabin. Wasn't perfect, but at least he tried to promote peace. Netanyahu is the man who murdered him. Netanyahu is the man that, empowered a right-wing, fanatic Talmudic scripture quoting rabbi to somehow paint Yitzhak Rabin as a Jew worthy of killing, and some fanatic right-wing, Jewish Orthodox fanatic murdered Yitzhak Rabin. And in doing so, murdered Israel, because now Israel is governed by a madman who has built a cult of personality. Israel is nothing other than the cult of personality of Bibi Netanyahu. The Trump problem is going to be solved in November. The Bibi Netanyahu problem has to be solved another way.
Do you think that with the current situation, in the next election, the people of the Trump administration, JD Vance or Marco Rubio, do they have any sort of chance to win the next election, presidential election, with what we've seen so far?
No. They've attached themselves to a loser, to a madman. I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, because the Democrats, if they can find a way to screw it up, they will find a way to screw it up. But the Democrats will have 2 years to destroy. Remember, Marco Rubio has committed crimes. JD Vance has committed crimes. And so they should be impeached as well. Their names should be dragged through the mud. And if you can get a conviction, that'd be wonderful. So I don't think they survive this. And I think the Democrats are going to get power in 2028, and then they'll screw it up. And then America, we're heading down the wrong path. We're not heading towards a revivalism of, the constitutional republic. We're heading back to where we're going to replace one cult of personality with another cult of personality. No American politician at this juncture has the courage of of a George Washington to reject the crown. Because what's needed right now is a total rejection of the unilateral executive, this theory that the presidency is constitutionally, imbued with total powers. The Supreme Court seems to be backing this because they're all political appointees of Donald Trump, and their supporters, to the most part. We've seen some interesting decisions made lately. But what we need is a president, for instance, to go to the War Powers Act and tell Congress that that's unconstitutional, that these responsibilities reside with Congress, not the president, and that the president's rejecting the way that, these things have been. Man, we find a president like that, this country can be saved. We find a president that makes Congress do its job, that'd be amazing. We find a president that would actually create a balanced judiciary, a Supreme Court that wasn't overly politicized, who wouldn't be afraid to appoint somebody from the other political party's slate because he was a better constitutional scholar than the one on your party, that you don't care about the political results, you care about the rule of law, you care about the Constitution. Find me a president like this and this country can be saved. No such person exists right now.
There are people who are pessimists about the United States, say it doesn't matter how much the American people are against Israel and the Zionists. After all the political system of the United States is under the thumb of the Zionists in the United States. But recent polls and recent, primaries basically show how even if you have the Zion AIPAC behind some candidates, they cannot win easily. They were defeated, by the way, two of them. The two new candidates that are winning against the AIPAC, they were calling genocide in 2023, 4, and they were fighting against what's going on between Palestine and Israel, and they're winning right now. They're on the path of winning to go to the Congress in 2026. And do you think this sort of change would somehow transform? It's little by little. It's not tremendous. It's not, the whole wall is not collapsing, but you see the cracks in the wall that is happening, that is serious, in my opinion.
Yeah, you do, but you also see that AIPAC can pour $30 million into a race in Kentucky and throw out Thomas Massey.
Yeah.
So it's point, counterpoint, strike, counterstrike. This shouldn't be about playing games. It should be about the total eradication of the total nullification of any notion of legitimacy for a pro-Israeli lobby. This isn't about winning political fights. This is about redefining how America defines itself. And we need to stop playing word games. Being against Israel is not anti-Semitic. It's just being against a genocidal, warmongering state. And the American people need to come to grips with that. That Israel is not an American ally. They are not an American friend. They've been an enemy of the United States from day one. Their job is to spy on us, steal our secrets, and use us politically so that we can continue to empower them. They are a parasite that has attached himself to the host. And that's when the American public reaches that level of enlightenment, then we'll stand a chance. If you just turn this into standard politic game about money, it'll be win some, lose some, and because again, so they beat the AIPAC candidate this time. Now they have to govern. I mean, one of the things people forget is that it's not the hardest thing in the world to challenge an incumbent and win office, hold that office, because the real challenge is going to come once you're in office, when you start picking up the phone and raising money, which you have to do on day one. Now you're up against a machine, and you're going to be spending so much time doing that. And then what's going to happen too is that you're going to get primaried, which means you're going to be exhausted in 2 years. So you're already starting to fight a fight right after you won. There's not too many people that can survive that. AIPAC has been playing this game for a long time. So as long as AIPAC retains the notion of legitimacy, I think they're going to make it difficult to get pushed out of Congress. The American people just have to wake up and call a spade, that Israel is an enemy of the United States, and any entity that supports Israel is not just an agent of a foreign government, but an agent of a hostile government. And we must treat AIPAC the way we would as an agent of any nation openly hostile to the United States. They need to be hunted down, eradicated, imprisoned, prosecuted. It should be illegal to be a sympathizer of the state of Israel today, because Israel isn't just anti-Semitic and genocidal. They're anti-American, straight up anti-American. They're the number one intelligence threat to the United States. It's amazing when the intelligence community acknowledges this, and yet Congress continues to behave as if Israel's our friend. Israel's not our friend. Tell the Iranians are more friendly to us than Israel, because Iran at least truly wants peace with the United States. Israel doesn't. Israel wants a permanent state of war, and they want American kids to die for them.
Do you think that the Trump administration is getting convinced by Europeans and those people, those Ukrainian lobby in the United States, that Ukraine is somehow changing the game, it is gaining some sort of leverage over Russia? This is the tone we are hearing from the Trump administration, not only from Donald Trump himself, from Marco Rubio, from other senior officials in Washington. What is that? Where does it come from?
It's information warfare. I mean, this is straight up propaganda. This whole drone campaign that the Ukrainians are running is a propaganda-driven campaign. They're causing some inconvenience to Russia. They're causing some slight pain, but no one talks about what else is going on, because while Ukraine is putting two FP5 drones into Volgograd, Russia is eradicating entire factories. While they're blowing up a handful of gasoline stations, Russia's taking out the entire gasoline infrastructure in southern Ukraine, so that the Ukrainian military can't function, can't survive. Russia's eradicating the Ukrainian army. All these drone operations that had success in June. Well, guess what, guys? While the Ukrainians are out there playing their little drone games and attacking civilians, committing acts of terrorism and causing inconvenience, the Russians were doing Overwatch and doing Pattern of Life. And every once in a while, the Ukrainians will make a mistake, as you will do over time. The guy that's hidden successfully, he drinks out of his water bottle and throws it into the trash can that he's supposed to place it in, but he throws it, bounces off the lid, rolls out underneath the branch, and suddenly a Russian drone says, water bottle. Then the Russians sit there and immediately target. Next thing you know, you have 3 FAB-500s landing on site, killing everybody inside. They're all dead now. That's happening over and over and over again. The Ukrainians are losing people like you wouldn't believe, and they're not able to sustain this drone warfare. And, they're receiving a lot of drones, but they're losing a lot of drones. Most of the drones get shot down by the Russians. But now that, the fact is the drone assembly facilities are being identified. The Russians are sitting there figuring it out, and they're taking it out. Now the Ukrainians will get even more support, and this may prompt a Russian response against Europe. But the point is, the United States is lying to itself. Marco Rubio is an idiot, doesn't know anything about the front lines, not getting briefed on accurate intelligence. The intelligence community doesn't know how to tell the truth. How can the CIA tell the truth about a project that it's heavily invested in? The CIA can't admit that it's failed, because the CIA needs this project to continue. So they'll always exaggerate their capabilities. They'll always exaggerate, what the potential is. They'll never tell the truth about what the reality is until it's too late. We saw this in Vietnam, just in case people understand. Scott, you're just saying things. No. It's patterns repeat themselves. That's just the way life is, guys. Patterns repeat themselves. Go look up, Sam Adams, CIA analyst, did the manpower assessments of the enemy, and take a look at how the United States just straight up lied about the number of casualties. We exaggerated enemy casualties because we were deceiving ourselves, and we did it. No